Hello everyone, this is Black and I. Welcome back to another video on the Gray Builds YouTube channel, and today we're going to be taking a look at the second project I submitted to the fair, as well as giving a brief channel update at the end of this video. So, let's get right into it. So, if you remember the last video that I did on this channel, if you've been around before, you'll notice that I did another video talking about a different fair project, and in that video, I described a lot about bringing the project to the Yorktown Grange Fair, and I also wanted to mention in this video that the reason I do that is typically because I enjoy seeing what other people build and showcase what I've built myself. It's less of trying to win the best ribbon anymore. I've already had 1 year where I won best of show. So for now, I'm just happy to get any products to showcase what you can do with Lego, and in this case, I tried a couple of new building techniques that we'll take a look at in the actual build. First off, I did want to mention it did win Best of Class for Scenic, because it's a pretty good scene in most people's eyes, and I tried my best to do two different things for this. The first off is, you'll notice everything in this little model is tiled over. There is little to no studs showing. The only studs showing are for potential places to pose figures and characters and creatures. So because of that, this was a different style of build than I normally do. Normally I like to showcase studs on my builds, mostly for stop animation, but also just because I think it looks more Lego-like that way. But this was a fun challenge to try and use pieces to tile off the entire build. The other thing I did was I used the full implementation of the Mills plate technique, which is where you add a plate, a brick, and then a plate on top of that before adding any of your details to the build. This makes it so that it's easy to move around in modules, which I'll show you these modules in a minute, but I did want to showcase this as something that I don't really do. I do kind of use a Mills technique for my cityscape layout, but it's not built upon the same level because it uses a base plate before you reach the jumper plates that then attach the Mills techniques to that. So it's a little different there. But for now, let's talk about what we've got here. Up front, we've got a basket of apples, as well as a very fun beehive, which I think is a very clever use of the ingot pieces in white. Behind that, we have a goat pen featuring a fence design, which is very similar to the fence design that I used in my Lego City Farm. The only difference here is this fence is done in a tan sand color, because I ran out of the brown pieces to do a brown fence, plus tan has a better contrast with the rest of this build. You'll notice that some of the animal pens will have olive green, that's to represent their feed, and you'll notice the ground is textured using dark green, olive green, and regular green, which adds a bit of texture to the grass, which is something that I thought would add to a little bit more display value in this area. And it makes the grass look more dense without actually adding too much 3D texturing. There's also a log in the corner for this goat pen, because I know goats like to sometimes hop up and ram their heads against logs. I've seen it a couple of times with my 4-H club before. And I also added a little bit of a water selection here for them as well, because you got to get them with some water and food. Now, in the front here, we have this cobblestone pathway, which is pretty fun, and this sort of sunflower build that I have going to the side, as well as a recreation of my 4-H leader in minifigure form. Now, when this goes to the city, I'm likely going to create a different minifigure to represent her, because tan does not, and the peach skin tone color doesn't really fit most of the people in my Lego City, aside from my character and one other, son Akira, which I did a video on earlier. But for now, I just wanted to showcase that as a fun aspect. Now, we'll get back to the main building later when we take a look at the modules, but first we want to take a look at these cows' pens. It's a lot of the same stuff that you see with the goat pen, just much larger, and with the 2 cows in there, and a slightly larger feed bin full of hay. Now, the backside of the cow pen is actually open when you take the modules apart, because the chicken coop is back there. We'll take a look at the interior of the chicken coop when we look at the modules, but the outside of the chicken coop just uses some stone, sort of styled with some chicken wire made by the different fence pieces, as well as a little water outside and some seeds on the ground, which is the Minecraft printed element for seeds, which I think is pretty funny. Now I'm going to take all these modules apart so that I can showcase everything in modules, and then we'll figure out where to put it in the city. So here we have all the modules now separated, and I used Technic pins and Technic cross pins to connect each part respectively. This made it much easier to transport to the fair, and why I chose to do the Fulls Mills technique for this build. And of course, it takes up more parts, but in this case, making it easier to transport made it all worth it. So now you can see that all of these different sections are separated. Some of them are combined, like the front pathway and the goat pen, and this section of the chicken and the cow pen, and that's just due to parts limitations. I could have made those all separate portions, because they're all made on practically just 8x8 parts, and In reality, I probably could have just done smaller segments, but for the sake of parts, I decided to go with the parts I had here. Now let's take a look at some of the details when we get up closer to the chicken coop. Now this chicken coop build is very interesting because a portion of it is built upside down. So a portion of this top part that's connecting the top half of the chicken wire element here is built upside down, and then a bunch of different brackets and snot bricks or studs not on top parts are built to right side up the top of the build. And this was very interesting to build, and I think it comes out pretty good. Now, the roof is built out of plates and tiles and curved tiles and slope tiles and whatnot in black, because I wanted a black roof for this building with one stud open so I can add a squirrel to the top. And I'm very happy that the squirrel it did survive the trip there and back without me having to totally replace it over and over again. Additionally, the slope was obtained by using Technic pieces. Now, because we built this in the modules that I did, you can actually see the inside by just opening up the back. And in this case, there's a little feeder, a little waterer, 3 chickens, and a baby chick. So pretty fun details to add to this. And I'm probably going to keep this structure together when I move it into the city. Just it might not be for chickens when we actually get it into the farm. Now, let's take a minute to take a look at the last of the modules, which is the main building. You can see here that I have this 4-H clover logo of the 4-leaf clover, and that's actually from a LEGO Creator Rabbit set I bought much earlier this year for parts, and I actually decided that I wanted to do this project from all the way back then. And I also wanted to keep this with very good textures while being minimalist in the parts that I had to use, so I did have to order some more pieces to make this project work, including more of the masonry brick pieces in nougat, which is the medium nougat color, and I used them on the backside to create the plank texture. You can see I also used regular masonry bricks in light bluish gray on the bottom because that makes it feel more like a stone foundation. I also did this interesting thing with these little plates on and tiles and snot bricks on the side of the corners of the building here, and it's a pretty fun technique. It's supposed to kind of feel like a log cabin without actually being a log cabin. I don't know, it was a fun technique to use, and I had a lot of fun putting it together. Now moving it to the side, this side's the same. We have one window, but you can see the side of the roof there. And on the top of the roof, we have a weather vane featuring a chicken on top. This is the golden chicken that I used previously in my chicken coop as the hidden golden chicken, but I figured it needed a more prominent place to be displayed, so I figured it would be good as a part of a golden weather vane on top of the building. Now moving around to the final side, which is the back, and that side just has some windows, which you can kind of see inside, but they don't really provide a lot of light inside. So for accessing the inside, I made it so you could just take the whole back wall and the roof off. And this makes it easier to see inside, where you can see the back side of everything, and you can see that we have a bunch of berries that must have spilled out of the bowl upon trying to move all these modules around. We also have a pumpkin, we have a bin full of eggs, rather, in the bottom of the table, and we have a toolkit, a little container of milk, and some carrots, which also appear to have slightly spilled over. A lot of these things are just to add details, but they also kind of hint some of the different things I'd like to add to the LEGO City Farm at some point in the future. So that kind of gives a sneak peek at what we're looking at here. Now, let's find a way to put this all into the LEGO City. So here is the 4-H building now inside the LEGO City Farm, and I put it right next to the entrance because I figured, well, when you come to the farm you might want to see what's going on, and I feel like the 4-H building might be a good place for all that info to be found. Additionally, I did keep the sunflower out front, but I basically got rid of all the extra pens because of the fact that those pens already exist for other animals like the chickens and the cows here in the LEGO City Farm. So this pen to the side now, which was for the chickens in the display, will now be for the waterfowl. Right now I have the 2 geese and 1 of the ducks sitting over here, and I have many more ducks and other waterfowl builds ideas that I have coming up in the near future, so I guess stay tuned for that. And, of course, right next to it, I've modified the fence just a little bit to make it so that animals can't get into where I plan to have the garden in the future. I want to do, like, a large-scale commercial or larger than backyard-scale garden, and the beehive fits perfectly in the corner to assist with all the plants. Now, before we leave, I did want to showcase that I did add the 2 ribbons up on the wall with the other ribbons and the minifigure display plaque, and it just keeps growing and growing. And I did want to mention, since in my previous videos you may have seen that I have this cool backdrop going on, When I do continue this backdrop, they're all hung up by Velcro command strips, so that way I can easily move them around or take them down when I want to display the ribbons during videos, which you might see every now and then. I'm pretty happy with how that looks, and I like the arrangement of where I chose to put the new ribbons. Now, that's all I've got for this video, but I have way too many videos that are nearing close to being completed right now. For some reason, all my projects that are larger scale projects are all pretty much coming to a close at the same time. So over the next few weeks, you'll be seeing a lot more irregularly timed videos that don't always come out on the Fridays that I normally post. But I have a bunch of fun videos discussing some LEGO City updates, a couple of reviews and set upgrades that I've wanted to do for a while, as well as a couple of mocks, including one mock that I've made earlier that will be getting an upgrade in the future. But for now, that's all I've got for you, so I hope you all enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for all the many videos to come in the near future, and I hope you all have a great day!